Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Ultimate Comics Podcast. My name is Nabeel Gaber, and I'm one of your hosts.
And I am Joshua Kang, the other host.
Oh, Joshua. That's so formal.
Oh, Joshua, tomato, potato. Also, we're in a new era, not just for Marvel, but we both cashed in our old headphones.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah,
We've definitely upgraded our equipment, got new headsets.
yeah.
I got an external camera that's
Oh,
crisper and
nice,
cleaner.
nice.
Yeah, I can feel the difference. It's exciting.
Yeah,
It feels so high tech right now.
I know.
But for those of you who don't know us, well, welcome. This is the podcast where normally we talk about Ultimate Marvel. It's an imprint of Marvel that started in the year 2000, but that's not important right now because this episode we're breaking format just a little bit.
Yeah,
We wanted to take an episode to review uh, the newest, most recent Marvel film, Thunderbolts, and spoilers, honestly, for anyone who has not seen the movie yet, just you've been warned. There's going to be
yeah,
major spoilers ahead in our review. We're not going to be pulling any punches or holding back.
yeah.
So save this for later. If you haven't seen the movie, go see the movie and then come back and hear our thoughts about it because, yeah, it's going to be spoiler city over here.
For the listeners, Nabeel asked, like, hey, should we do a spoiler-free review? And I'm like, not really. Like, why else would you listen to this? And also, I know some of the big reviewers of movies and comics and podcasts. Those guys go like, "We have a spoiler review and a spoiler-free review," and I'm like, "Yeah, but we're not big. No one's gonna come to us to decide whether to watch the movie. They're coming to us for the after movie effects when they're still engaging in the afterglow of the movie."
Oh, yeah, that's right. When they've got that good
Yeah,
afterglow on them and they just want to sit back, relax, and hear our thoughts. Little after party
exactly,
event. Yeah.
exactly. You used to be able to do that on Reddit, and then I don't know. I feel Reddit's just not as good for that anymore. There used to be all these forums, but they kind of all got monetized. And so far, we are not monetized.
So far, yeah. I mean, we hope one day we will be, but as of right now, that's not happening. But for right now, we're just here to give you our spoiler filled thoughts on this movie, Thunderbolts. Josh, what do you think?
I like this movie. You and I both agree that the MCU, the last few movies and stuff, even if it's not bad, and they made some really good stuff, has kind of been aimless. And this kind of feels like
Hmm.
we kind of got the story back on track. We're back to the black. We're back on the road. Things are back in. The legends are black again.
The legends are black again, you said?
Yeah, that's an accounting term.
Oh, the ledger.
Yes.
I thought you said the legends are black again. And I was like, I mean, that'd be cool, but like most of them are pretty white anyways. So like, but yes, yeah, I agree with you. I think that the MCU post Endgame, I mean, you constantly hear this from fans all the time. They're like, oh, it hasn't been the same since Endgame. It kind of fell off afterwards. And I think there are some pretty valid complaints about post Endgame MCU. I've
Yeah.
still been following since then, and I've still been a big fan. And I think I've enjoyed a lot of what they've put out still, even though it has been a little more inconsistent in terms of quality. There have been more misses. I think the problem too is they've put out so much content, so it's hard for people to keep up.
Yeah.
Uh, but I feel like with this movie too, this is probably the first time since Endgame where we have felt the ramifications of Endgame and the consequences of the ending, which is basically no more Avengers.
Yeah.
We're forced to reckon with a world without Avengers. Captain America went back in time, got super old. Iron Man and Black Widow died. I mean, Thor has like yeeted off into space with a daughter now. Hulk is just, you know, doing whatever it is.
Wait. Thor has a daughter?
Oh yeah, that was the end of Thor: Love and Thunder.
I watched that movie twice and I fell asleep both times. Like, who's the mom?
He adopted her.
Oh,
It's Gore, the
oh,
God
is
Butcher's daughter. Yeah,
that's Batman's daughter, Christian Bale's daughter, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Also, there have been so many good movies post Endgame, honestly, but the best ones still haven't felt like anything that moves the overarching story of the MCU forward. They've been more of an ending, a conclusion than anything else. I mean, you look at Guardians of the Galaxy 3, you look at Wakanda Forever, Deadpool and Wolverine, Spider-Man No Way Home, even though we know there will be a fourth Spider-Man movie, but even that one felt like at the end of an era,
Yeah.
honestly. Thor Love and Thunder, I was on, but still that also felt more like a conclusion to that story. It was a lot of one and dones, a lot of introducing new characters, and it never really felt like, okay, this is important and this is going to propel us forward. Thunderbolts feels like it's propelling us forward.
One, and it's really interesting because it kind of what the feeling Avengers did for the first stage of Marvel movies, Thunderbolts did for this stage, and it's really interesting because they have a lot of callbacks to the Avengers movies. The final battle is in New York. They
Mm-hmm.
are teaming up. They are brought together by the government. They literally fight the battle in the same street, in the same building, in Avengers
Yeah,
Tower, or what's
Stark
left of it.
Tower.
Yeah,
It definitely feels like a strange twist on the first Avengers movie in a lot of ways.
yeah,
It also feels like Guardians of the Galaxy, in that the team is a ragtag group of mercenaries and criminals who just don't really mesh well together, at least at first.
yeah,
And I think that's what Marvel does very well,
yeah.
generally.
And to be fair, in the comics, the Thunderbolts have always been kind of like the Dark Avengers, or like in this movie felt a lot like Marvel's answer to the Suicide Squad to a certain degree.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
think the Thunderbolts have been that in the comics in the past. I mean, the
yeah,
Thunderbolts have been so many things in the
yeah.
comics, right? I mean,
For,
originally it was the Masters of Evil posing as heroes.
mhm. And the most famous is, and I feel this one takes some inspiration from, is Norman Osborn's Thunderbolts, where Norman Osborn is a supervillain. He takes over a shield, gets other supervillains, and turns them into heroes. And that's basically this one.
Yeah, this definitely does feel like what you're saying, Norman Osborn's Thunderbolts, the Suicide Squad. I mean, because these guys have all been contracted by Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. Did I miss any parts of her name? That's a long
I.
name.
It's a long ass name.
Yeah,
It's
so
also like
Val.
it's a aristocratic name, but in the movie they make her like Latin American or American, right?
Yeah, it's unclear exactly where she's from in the
Well,
movie.
there's a scene where like she's speaking a language and I think it's Spanish. Someone correct me if I'm completely wrong.
Well, anyways, all these characters are contracted by Val, by Julia Louis Dreyfus's character, and they're all working for her. And I think that really makes them more like, what we were talking about with the Norman Osborn Thunderbolts, more like the Suicide Squad group of criminals working for him. And what I love about this story is the whole thing is really like, oh, they've been set up by Val. They're loose ends that need to be tied up so that she can claim power and rise up and be the new Nick Fury. But they actually end up becoming this unlikely team, which is pretty cool. And that's the interesting thing, is they're not heroes. A lot of them are actually like not great people,
Yeah.
but they end up like doing really good things.
I mean, well, she's not trying to be the Nick Fury. She's trying to not get impeached and go to jail. And then she realizes she could be the Nick Fury, and then she becomes.
Yeah, I think the character of Val, played by Julia Louis Dreyfus, is so well done. I think a lot of it is also just carried by her performance. I love Julia Louis Dreyfus.
But me too. But basically, she's so good in it because she's just playing Selena Meyer from Veep. Like, it's literally
Yeah,
Selena Meyer. Like, they literally use the same lines. Like, there's a line where she goes like, "Oh, like as CIA director, you divested from the company from Ox, right?" And she goes, "Of course I divested. I'm only on the board on an advisory capacity." And I'm like, that's literally word for word like the same line when she's in Veep, when there's an episode when she is hauled before Congress and like the same building Congress, and she goes like, "Oh, my son-in-law is not a lobbyist. He doesn't own any stocks. He's just there as a advisor." And they go, "But what's the difference?"
no, totally. I mean, she has experience playing a very similar character,
Yeah,
famously on Veep, so it fits very perfectly.
yeah,
And I love how they have this character, this Amanda Waller type, almost Norman Osborn stand in. She wants to fill that void left by the Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. and Nick Fury and everyone. And I think the way that's played out is super well done, especially with the Sentry as well.
yeah. I will say this one thing I like about this portrayal of her is partially because I think she has a lot of experience with like realistic politics of Veep, is that Amanda Waller and Nick Fury have like this idea that they're very much behind the shadows, pulling all the strings. With Valentina, you get that she's really intelligent and she's Machiavellian, but a lot of it is more improvised, which is more realistic. Like a lot of politics and all that diplomacy is done on the fly. You know, balls in. It's not really that well planned out, but you make the most of what happens based on improv, and that's what she's doing.
No, absolutely.
Have you seen the show Secret Invasion?
It was bad.
I did not see it, but she stops the Skrull invasion, and I assume, and that's how Norman Osborn becomes Director of Shield in his universe. So there's another
I'll
parallel.
admit I blocked Secret Invasion out of my memory, but I don't even remember her being part of that show.
I thought she was part of that show.
As far as I remember, she was. I'm gonna have to do some quick googling,
I'm also.
but like I really just it was a bad show.
I know it's a bad show, but like, so I have not even watched that show, but like, the whole thing is that like Norman Osborn becomes the leader of the Thunderbolts based on his performance in like the Skrull invasion. So
Well, he was already leader of the Thunderbolts during the Skrull invasion, but he
yeah,
becomes basically the new top cop, the new Nick Fury, after his performance in the Skrull invasion because he's the one to fire the killing blow on the Skrull Queen,
yeah.
is the thing. And then he becomes the new top cop, and then he leads his own Avengers team. And
Oh,
that's very similar to the ending of this movie, where Val, when she announces the new Avengers team, much like Norman Osborn did with his, they weren't known in universe as this, but the Dark Avengers, which
yeah.
were his Avengers teams, which were basically criminals, supervillains, all posing as heroes.
And our cast is all criminals posing as heroes, except maybe Congressman Bucky Barnes. But you know, like
Yeah,
I really support this. Every team, every unit needs a Black Ops unit. You get the Justice League, and you put all the dark characters in the dark. I know Justice League Dark is magic, but the point is, every team needs a black team, like a Black Ops team. You have an Avengers team. Like, let's just say I'm the president. I have Captain America, but let's just say I want to overthrow the government in Nicaragua. I can't
yeah.
send in Captain America. I need an Avengers team that's Black Ops. You know, you need a Black Ops X-Men team. You need a Black Ops Avengers team. Everyone does it. Yeah.
Again, you're using this platform for your Black Ops campaign. I
Yes.
see your point, but also, yeah, this team at the end is revealed so openly and publicly that they couldn't even act as a Black Ops team because now they are the public facing Avengers now.
Yeah. Well, Valentina, like I said, Julie Dreyfus, she's a comedian, so Valentina's good at improv, and she goes, "Okay, it's too public. I'm gonna get impeached and go to jail, but not if I make this go public." And see, boom, I created a new Avengers team out of my pants, and it's public.
It was a very cool twist ending,
Yeah.
honestly. I love that twist because the whole movie is basically them trying to expose her and bring her to justice, especially Bucky,
Mm-hmm.
who plays a really good role where well, first of all, he's a congressman now, which is
Yeah.
wild, but he is now like working with his fellow congressmen and allies he's got in Congress to bring her down and get her impeached,
Yeah.
and he ends up enlisting the Thunderbolts to do this. And the whole time you think they're going to get her, they're going to expose her. At the very end, especially, they think, oh, she's cooked. And then she just flips it around and is like, the Avengers! Look at my
Yeah.
Avengers team! That was such a clever ending. I'm interested to see where it goes now, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, especially because then Yelena turns to her and whispers in her ear, and she's like, "We own you now." It's like, oh, it's interesting. Have they put one over on her? Or are they blackmailing her into being like, okay, we'll be your Avengers, but we call the shots?
It's because, well, she's about to be impeached as CIA director, which has never happened actually in history. And if you're impeached and the Senate confirms it, you probably will end up going to jail. So basically, she's like, "Hey, and we know you did a bunch of crappy stuff, and you're getting investigated for the Century, which they stopped investigating ever since you revealed the new Avengers." And Yelena is saying, "If you cross us too much, we're just gonna leak it, and you'll go to jail."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's also fun because like this whole time the movie's like, oh, it's the Thunderbolts, and it's a joke. In the movie, it's a joke. The Thunderbolts is a joke. They can't think of a team name, so they just use Yelena's soccer team from when
Yeah,
she was
from
a
when she
five.
was a kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they don't even know the sponsor's name because they keep everyone screams. It's funny because like it's not just Yelena. Every character before they charge into battle screams like it is this entire company's Thunderbolts as a joke, as a weird
Yeah,
battle cry, and no one gets it. Everyone says a different company, and in the end, the movie just goes, no, they're the New Avengers, and like the title is New Avengers, like that's the title card of the movie at the end of the movie.
that was a very exciting twist, which I did not see coming. I also did not pay any attention to the title before. When they had the asterisk at the end, I was like, I did not even notice that until the end when they like reveal what it's for and they rip off the title and it says New Avengers. I was like, oh, okay, that's clever.
Yeah,
Because, yeah, I did not notice at all, but I feel like this team works in both capacities as both, oh well, they're the Thunderbolts and now they're the New Avengers. I think it's kind of like in the comics when Norman Osborn's Thunderbolts then became the New Avengers team, actually posing as heroes, of course. Like it's
yeah,
very similar to that, except I feel like this also, they're calling it the New Avengers to evoke the New Avengers from the comics, which is this scrappy street level team to step in where the older classic Avengers were. And so they're a little rougher around the edges and less powerful and more like an underdog team. And I feel
yeah.
like this is also, in that sense, this is like the New Avengers. It's not the team that had Luke Cage and Spider-Man and Wolverine and Iron Fist and everything, but it is similar in essence, I would say, to the New Avengers concept.
Talking at street level, like none of them have really impressive powers or gear, other than maybe Ghost, played by Hannah John Kamen, I think. She has a
Yeah, that's
long
right.
Hannah
Yeah.
John Kamen. The guys, other than her, all the guys that have powers, other than Taskmaster, who's killed 10 minutes in, they just have like the super soldier thing, which is impressive. But like it's like a street level power, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's it's actually kind of crazy now because with this movie and with Falcon and Winter Soldier, we basically just established that like the super soldier serum, which guided every movie until Endgame. Like that was every Earth villain's motivation was finding the super soldier serum. I guess now we just have a ton of super soldiers running around, so no one is going to bother to make it again.
Yeah, we have some flawed variations. I mean, there's a fun scene, I think, where it's Red Guardian comparing with Bucky which version of the serum he's got, and
Yeah,
Winter Soldier's like, "Oh, I got Hydra," and he's like, "Oh, Hydra, fancy." Like
yeah, but they all
that was
do
really
this.
funny.
They all do the same thing. The other weird thing is Red Guardian is the joke is no one knows who he is. But I'm like, hey, he's like up there in that Soviet propaganda with Brezhnev, and I'm like, really, no one knows who he is. His own Soviet propaganda is hanging out with like Brezhnev, Leonid Brezhnev, and no one knows who this guy is.
He's a relic of the past, you know. Is the whole point. I
Yeah,
think
I
people
mean,
have kind of forgotten over time.
I mean, like he's like Gorbachev. Everyone remembers who Gorbachev was until he died.
Yeah, but not the kids these days, you know.
Kids love Gorbachev these days. They love the Pizza Hut commercials he makes.
What are you talking about?
Like you never saw Gorbachev after the Soviet Union collapse. You know, he had no money, so he made a bunch of Pizza Hut commercials, and
That
kids were
has nothing to do with the kids these days.
no the kids they saw those Pizza Hut commercials and they love Gorbachev for those really weird Pizza Hut commercials.
I'm moving on.
Look,
Let's dig into the characters of this movie. I think first and foremost, there's Yelena Belova, the new Black Widow,
yeah,
and I think she's such a perfect lead for this movie. I think Florence Pugh is just fantastic in this role.
yeah,
I didn't really care about Yelena in the comics like at all. She's pretty, I don't know. Maybe I haven't read enough of her appearances in the comics. I've just like in Avengers comics and Peripheral, but she's just bad. Black Widow is her whole gimmick.
I think they've made more stuff for her recently, and I think she's one of those characters that's kind of like been elevated by her movie charisma.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, exactly. I think she really steals the show, especially if you look at the Black Widow movie. She's like the highlight of that movie. I
yeah.
know not a lot of people liked it. I thought it was decent, but like nothing like really to write home about. Except for I think the most important part was introducing her family, especially
Yeah,
Yelena and Red Guardian as well.
This is gonna be controversial because I know a lot of fans love her, but I really didn't like Scarlett Johansson. I didn't hate her or anything. She was not up there as one of my favorite characters, but the Black Widow movie, I thought like all those characters in the Black Widow movie, Red Guardian, Yelena, come back. I really liked all of them. I really liked the dynamic they have. I don't think it's Scarlett Johansson's fault, but a lot of the writing for her character was not the best, and it was at times inconsistent. I feel it was
Hmm.
hamstringing. They pushed down her throat a lot of weird feminine tropes that don't come off well.
Like the Hulk romance.
The Hulk romance, them trying to make her the more like maternal member of the family. I think,
Yeah.
I think like, and it's because some of those things I don't think are bad. They just did it in a way that, like, because a lot of those things when you apply to Yelena works better. And
Hmm.
Yelena in a few movies, and to be fair, a lot of it has to do with Florence Pugh's performance. Like she's a really good actress. Just kind of like push home it better. Like I know a lot of reviewers and feminists complain about this idea in Age of Ultron when Black Widow complains that she can't be a mother, and it just comes off wrong. It's a female character, and a lot of the times male writers just reduce them to whether they could be a good mother or wife. But like in one line, Yelena turns that from like a bad trope to actually one that takes away sovereignty when she goes in Black Widow. She goes like, "Oh no, they ripped out your fallopian tubes and chopped them up in front of you." It turns like this weird sexist trope into like, "No, this is body horror," and
Yeah.
yeah, and in one line she did that.
No, that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't get so clinical, as he said.
I think I like her definitely more than Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow because I
Yeah,
like Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow. I think you're right, the writing is inconsistent because I feel like she's kind of passed around between writers of different films because you have the Avengers and Age of Ultron, like the Joss Whedon movies, and then you have the stuff with the Russo brothers, which is more Winter Soldiers, Civil War, and then you've got Infinity War, Endgame.
yeah,
That Black Widow, I like her under the kind of like the direction of the Russo brothers and the writers of those films. I do think she's definitely a more watered down version than what we get in the comics. Who Black Widow is not at all the den mother of the Avengers. She's not
yeah,
in that role. I mean, it makes sense for the MCU in that context for her to fit that role, but I love comic Black Widow because she's definitely more of a shady character, a more badass. She lives up to her name as this like expert assassin and things like that. That's the
yeah,
role that she plays, and it makes sense. And
yeah.
I think Yelena in the MCU fills more of the role of like classic Black Widow from the comics.
A bit, but also I feel Yelena is also like a parody of the MCU Black Widow. Like in her first movie, she goes like, "You do those weird poses, like you can't do those poses in real life." And I forgot whether it was Florence Pugh or some writer who suggests like, "Hey, if you like jump off 20 feet and you land gracefully, you don't do that pose. You do that pose, you break fingers or you break a
Yeah.
leg." Yelena is not this motherly character, but she's like forced into it. She really doesn't like it in this movie where
Yeah.
she becomes the leader of the Thunderbolts de facto.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think it makes sense too. I think what I love about this movie is how it deals with a lot of feelings of just aimlessness and emptiness and depression. I think especially on Yelena's part.
yeah,
I think she definitely has a lot that she's working throughout this movie. And I think when she's put in this group of people that are going through a lot of similar feelings, honestly,
yeah,
it works really well. How she's kind of like the centerpiece for this. Emotionally, I feel like she is the core of this whole thing.
yeah.
Whether she wants to be or not,
Yeah.
she's surrounded by these people.
And that's what I feel like. She's a parody of the MCU Black Widow so far. She's the den mother against her will.
Yeah, she doesn't want to, but eventually she comes to appreciate it. I think you can see.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You know, I'm not a very maternally person, but I'm gonna be my best to be maternal. If like, hey, if this guy goes too off the rails, he just destroys the world.
Yeah. Yeah, like you'd have no choice at that point.
Yeah. I do love how everyone just babies Bob because he just puts him in so many dangerous situations, like the crawling up the chute, and he goes like, "You gotta say pickle, or I'm gonna sneeze, and we're all gonna die." And the others go,
Yeah, oh, that was such a funny moment. Well, speaking of, yeah, the Sentry, Lewis Pullman, I thought did a fantastic job just
"Yeah,
embodying this role of the Sentry or for the first chunk of the movie, he was just Bob,
Yeah.
which I thought was very funny and well done. He's just kind of hanging out, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Bob." He comes off as very goofy and lovable in that way.
He reminds me of Steve in What We Do in the Shadows, the movie. If you've seen that one.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, where
Yeah,
they
I
just
see what
go,
you mean.
yeah, it's like, oh, that's just like the regular guy. And they kind of just, other than John Walker, they all just are just kind of okay with it. And then, it's revealed that turns out he was experimented on and he's a
Yep.
sentry.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think when he takes that turn and he's kind of influenced and groomed by Val and made into the Sentry, well, first off, I think he looks fantastic in that outfit. Honestly, like I think it fits very well.
I never liked the super comic booky look that they sometimes do. I think some of the stuff when you translate to real life just doesn't look well. But I'm glad that there's some people out there who do like it, like you.
I thought it was really good. I know I
Yeah.
heard one or two people in the theater laughing when he came
It's a
out
goofy
in the out.
costume.
Well,
Um,
I think it kind of fits the purpose of the story because what I like about this story too is that Val is kind of positioning him as this public facing, like I think it's done it very intentionally to give him this bright, like larger than life, like comic
yeah,
booky, like
that's
he's
fair.
this Superman to stand in for the Avengers.
And I control him.
Exactly, yeah. So I think that's such a good plot point, and I think it's really interesting too how the real heroes behind this, all the ones who are trying to stop this from happening, are publicly seen as the bad guys. Because if you look objectively, yeah, they're criminals and they're mercenaries and assassins and they've done horrible things,
Yeah.
but they're actually trying to do the right thing here
Yeah.
and stop her golden god, hit her larger than life Superman.
He kind of actually reminds me of Adam Warlock in the Guardians movie, but
Yeah,
like more unstable.
yeah. I think Lewis Pullman too does a really good job like embodying I think a lot of the mental health issues he goes through and the instability of
Uh,
the character, especially when he kind of goes off the rails with power.
yeah.
He does a good job of just being so unhinged and like kind of scary honestly at times.
Yeah. It, I really like the line where he goes like, "Why does a god have to listen to you?" She just goes, kind of throwing around the G word a lot there, bud. Like, calm it
Yeah,
down.
she has hyped him up. Val has hyped him up as this big god, and then he's like, "Oh wait, yeah. Why
I
should
am
I
a
have to?
god.
I have all this power. Yeah. Why should I listen to you?"
I could destroy New York City. She goes, and like Mel. Did we talk about Mel yet?
No, we haven't. Val's assistant,
Yeah,
Mel.
Mel's assistant, played by Geraldine Viswanathan. I apologize if I misspelled the name. I've seen her in other stuff. She's very good. She was in a few movies I've watched before. I really liked her in Miracle Workers, but she was like a great character. She plays an OC. She plays the chief of staff, and
Right, yeah.
she literally arranges assassinations for her.
She really does a good job. I think her character is great at representing the unappreciated assistant who does a good chunk of the heavy lifting and takes the bulk of the heat from her boss when things go wrong. I think that character was a great inclusion. I think also her moral conflict, her internal conflict was very well represented, especially in terms of like the things Val was telling her to do and asking her to do versus also you have Bucky on the other end here kind of like trying to pull her over to their side being like, "Hey, like give me a call, you have a choice in all of this." Like I
Yeah,
love the way he relates to her and he's like, I didn't have a choice in the things that I did for Hydra. You have a choice, so
yeah.
reach out to me.
Are you saying a lot of these pro Mel stuff or pro Geraldine stuff because you had her job before, didn't you?
Listen, I've been an assistant.
Yeah, but you were specifically her job. You because she arranges the publicity. She goes like, "I'm bringing the press over, boss. Just let me know when you're ready to talk to them." The new Avengers is probably only possible due to her because Val's like, "Get me out of here." And Mel is revealed to have like called the press in at the last second for her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, Mel is like the real hero here.
or the villain if you don't want to be in the Avengers and you're one of the Thunderbolts.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. I actually thought for a while that like they're like she made. I don't know. Like I feel for Bucky. I'm not sure if this was done on purpose or the writers just made it seem like this. Like they kind of seem to pair him with a lot of girls that don't go anywhere, and that's fine. Like most romances and flirtations don't go anywhere. But like I thought, like in Falcon Winter Soldier, he was flirting with those two girls. Here, you thought like I thought for a second he was hitting on Mel, but I think that's more of him just being awkward.
Yeah, I got that vibe at first, but I think they kind of established they were talking on the phone and they were talking about the Battle of New York.
Hmm.
And she was like, how old did she say she was? She was like,
He was in high school.
yeah, I was like 15. And he was like, 15, huh? I was 90. So I think that line to me indicated, okay, there is no romantic stuff going on. Yeah,
Or he's just
very
awkward. Or he's just awkward.
could be. But I think speaking of, I do love the role that Bucky played in this movie because, well, for me at first it was jarring being like, Bucky's in Congress. What?
And he represents Brooklyn. It's the congressman
Yeah,
of the hipsters.
he's the Brooklyn. Yeah, because of his hair. He
Yeah,
definitely gives off the hipster vibe.
yeah.
I was put off at first with like okay, Bucky's a congressman now. They all know he assassinated people for decades, right?
He killed
Okay.
JFK.
Yeah, like, but I guess, anything can happen. Politics, baby. But I think he plays such a good role first in like bringing Mel over to their side a little bit more, but also working as this crusader in the political sphere, trying to bring Val to justice and work with his fellow congressmen. And then I love how he's kind of the team babysitter
Yeah.
for this group. I love his intro too during that car chase. I'd seen it in trailers and stuff before, but I thought it was so well done. And they're struggling in this car that can't even make it to 60 miles an hour in Red Guardian's limo. And Bucky just pulls up and destroys these military jeeps with ease. And the action was so well done there. And I'm just like, I don't know. I think it's crazy how Bucky, of all people now, is the guy who's got his shit together on the team.
He has a job.
And yeah, he's got a job. But I also love how he reaches out to the team and is saying, "Okay, I've been where you are now. I've been there before, so I'm asking for your help right now, and let's work together." So I think it's really cool. I think in so many situations, characters can be written to be dismissive or just kind of flippant or just nasty towards characters like the rest of the Thunderbolts. But I love how Bucky actually was like, "Okay, you know what? Let's work together, guys."
He's
And
a he's a character that's grown and matured over the years.
yeah, and it's crazy how Sebastian Stan is like the MCU veteran of this
Yeah.
group. He's been playing Bucky since 2011 in Captain
Yeah.
America the First Avenger, which is wild. So I love seeing all the development he gets, working Congress and now being kind of the one to help wrangle together this dysfunctional group of Thunderbolts to take
Well,
down Val.
he did wrangle them together originally because he wanted to bring them to Congress to interrogate them.
That's true, yeah,
Yeah.
to have them testify. But
Yeah.
then they all become a team,
Yeah.
which is really cool.
Yeah. And also, one thing, and this is like a weird side note, is I also really like whenever Bucky talks to the chairman in Congress. The guy really likes him, and I think that implies that Bucky, even in Congress, has done well. He works well in the team. He's done the job. He's worked through his committees and all
Hmm.
that. Yeah.
No, I think that's really great. Just showing the level of trust he's accumulated. I think it's a lot of growth for Bucky.
Yeah.
The redemption that he's gone through and the work he's put in ever since the Winter Soldier and just decades of programming and brainwashing and all the horrors he's been through. It's cool to see him coming out the other side.
Yeah.
Not just a hero, but also someone who is publicly loved and trusted and a crusader for good in more ways than one. It's really cool. I also want to talk about the Red Guardian as well. I thought David Harbour is still hilarious. He was such a good comic relief, and I don't know if there's any diehard like Red Guardian fans out there who are gonna go, "Oh, they turned Red Guardian into a joke." But if you're out there, please email us or something. I don't know.
Well, I think there's always been the problem with Marvel in a sliding scale. It's like Red Guardians always have supposed to have been like the Soviet counter to Captain America, but the
Mhm.
Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore. So like he has to be old and washed up to a certain degree. Again, though, I have this complaint. People should know who he is, though. He was up there on Red Square during the parade. Yeah.
I feel like big history nerds would be like, "Oh my gosh, it's the Red Guardian." But I think, especially in the US, in that whole sphere, people aren't gonna, it's
Yeah,
not
but
gonna register with them.
Val didn't know who he is, and I'm like, weren't you in the CIA? Like, this guy was probably like on your list of people to watch out for like decades, and now you just forget about him.
Maybe it's just how unrecognizable he is at this point.
Or maybe it's like Mean Girls, where they're like, what does it say about me in the book? Nothing. Those bitches.
Yeah, maybe he didn't have as big of an impact on history as he would have liked to think, you know?
Yeah. I actually have no idea what the Soviet Union would have used him for, actually, realistically.
Yeah, I think they were using the Winter Soldier for the real work. Or maybe
Yeah,
that was just Hydra. I don't know.
yeah. I think it's both. The
Yeah, a
whole,
little bit of both.
yeah,
Maybe loaned out to the Soviet Union.
yeah. Or Soviet Union, or Hydra did the same thing with Soviet Union, which they did with the U.S., where they just hid in the shadows. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of vague. Because in Black Widow, the movie, Rachel Weisz's character, I don't remember her name, talked about like, oh, we knew those were Hydra in the other building. So
Yeah, no, that's fair. But I love how he keeps playing this great comic relief role of the guy who's washed up and is trying to relive his glory days. But I feel like he's also just such a positive force in this movie. I think he's very supportive of Yelena being part of the Thunderbolts and the rest of the Thunderbolts doing their thing.
mhm.
I think it's also really cool that you get moments where he actually does care about being a hero,
Yeah,
like that scene where he saves this little girl from the debris when it's all falling from Stark Tower. Also, I think it's cool how just in general during that scene near the end of the movie when debris is falling from the tower, seeing them actually go out of their way to save lives. I think it's not often like it's in the best superhero movies where you actually see them saving lives, like going out of their way to save civilians and showing them be heroes.
yeah,
So I thought that was a good sign and a good look at what we were going to get later on when they were announced as the new Avengers team. You get to see them be a superhero team and be like, I can see this working. Yeah.
I think one thing about Red Guardian, because I just realized I seen everything Red Guardian was in outside of comics, because I saw the What If episode with Red Guardian,
Oh, right. That
where
was a
they
great episode.
where they
Well,
were
the one where
harbored.
he teams up with Bucky.
Yeah, but Red Guardian, people yelling because it's like you're not a good person. Well, Red Guardian, I think deep down is a genuine hero. He's just
Hmm.
not. He's a bit self obsessed, and I think like I don't know, like we don't really have numbers to quantify morality, and just because you are self-obsessed doesn't mean you're a bad person. And I think he is one of those people where like he has his like heroic person. Like I think in real life he would have been like a cop or a doctor helping people, and in the
Right.
process neglected his family. Like in the What If episode, if you guys don't know, he is sent on missions with Winter Soldier and is bad at them because it's too heroic.
Yeah.
So he's like, we have two super soldiers, but one's bad at his job because he keeps
Yeah.
hitting the target. And he says, like, I really love being Red Guardian because I liked helping people in the end. It's just,
Yeah, because he loved fighting for his country, and I think for him that meant being the Soviet Union's equivalent of Captain America, being
yeah,
a hero.
yeah,
That's what it's all about. Maybe some people didn't see it that way, but it
yeah,
was all about being a hero. And I know there's a lot of obsession he got with glory and everything,
yeah,
but you can see that he actually does care about saving lives and protecting people.
yeah,
And especially he cares about his daughter too. I
yeah,
think that scene between him and Yelena near the end is very touching, where
yeah,
she's like, "Why? It's been over a year. Why didn't you reach out?" And he's like, "I didn't think you wanted me as your father."
yeah,
And so it was cool to see them reconnect and have that emotional honesty. That moment was really great. And when he kind of gives her that pep talk, he is the comedic relief for so much of the movie, but he's also there to provide a lot of emotional support for Yelena and a lot of motivation, which I think is great.
yeah. Talking of Captain America and superheroes, what do you think of U.S. agent? I forgot his name. I forgot
Yeah,
his
John Walker.
John Walker. Walker. Yeah,
I I really enjoyed his character in this movie. I enjoyed him in Falcon and Winter Soldier too.
yeah,
I think he's definitely a lot more likable than in the comics. He's similar to the comic version where they're both kind of assholes who are a little full of themselves.
yeah,
I think generally, I don't know. I think it's Wyatt Russell's performance that kind of softens him a little bit and makes
yeah.
him a little more sympathetic and likable. He's not. He just seems like this very conservative right wing tool in the comics. But I think in this version, there is a lot of, you at least get sympathy for him. And like, he made a big mistake in Falcon and Winter Soldier when he just openly executed a guy in public as Captain America. That
He's
was like,
he smashed
yikes.
that guy's he snapped the guy's head off with the shield, didn't he?
Yeah. Because I think he was all out of control from the super soldier serum he took, because that was a very faulty serum that kind of drove him over the edge. Also, his partner had just been murdered as well, so he was really out of it.
You know, the big thing with him is that he's kind of like Red Guardian, that he's obsessed with glory.
Hmm.
He's full of himself. Is a bit of a dick. And if he got old, but like I feel Red Guardian does have more of a heart. And if he got old, he probably would just be like Red Guardian, watching old clips of him running through the band like in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I think so. They even joke at the beginning where he's like, "I was Captain America," and she's like, "For 2 seconds." He is very similar to Red Guardian. He didn't even get, I think, nearly as much glory as Red Guardian did because he was Captain America for such a brief time. And he is still kind of full of himself, and but it's sad because you see he's lost his family,
Yeah,
his wife, and left him and took the kid, and he's generally just this is it for him.
yeah,
Like he's just gonna try and serve his country however he sees fit as U.S. agent.
yeah. And the first thing the CIA or Ox or Valentine says is like, "I want to kill him,"
Yeah,
which is crazy because it's like this guy was on TV, he was on CNN, and they're just gonna
yeah,
murk him.
but he was also dishonorably discharged and fired from his position, so he probably just faded into obscurity after that.
Oh yeah, he was publicly faded from obscurity, and the guy they rejected to be Captain America, Falcon, just took his spot, and the politician was like, "No, we're cool with him. F that guy. That guy's a dick."
Yeah. Well, Sam Wilson originally just turned down the role of Captain America. It's
Yeah,
not even that he was rejected
true,
originally.
true.
Steve gave him the shield and he took it at first, but then he didn't want it for a bit.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of didn't want it because John Walker was so terrible as Captain America, just killing innocent people, losing all the time.
Yeah, I think he realized that he had to make a stand and stand up for what's right and fill the legacy of Captain America. Otherwise, this is going to go into the wrong hands.
Yeah,
Someone unstable like John Walker, or I think he was also inspired to do better because of. I mean, this is getting into Falcon Winter Soldier territory, but because of Isaiah Bradley, who was Captain America, who had terrible experiments done on him
yeah,
as Captain America, and he wanted to symbolize a black man wearing the stars and stripes, trying to show that we can do better and we can grow and we can improve upon some of the things, areas where we failed in the past.
yeah,
Anyways, yeah, but that's getting into Falcon and Winter Soldier territory. I love the way this team came together generally too. That first skirmish between the Thunderbolts when they all first meet and each of them is assigned to kill a different one. It's a very fun, exciting, dynamic action sequence between the four of them. You
yeah,
have Taskmaster and Yelena and Ghost and US Agent all just flip flopping around each other, and it was very exciting. I mean, yeah, the action was great, and what was interesting too about this movie was it wasn't all about the action too either. I thought it was really great, especially when fighting the Sentry, for example.
yeah. It just shows
Like,
how outclassed they were too.
yeah, this movie was never going to be resolved with a giant fist fight or a big CGI battle or anything because this man is basically Superman with his powers, you know?
Yeah, it's worse than Superman because he could just disappear people.
Yeah. I think the whole void idea, it's kind of like an emotional fight and an emotional climax to the movie where they all have to go in and not only confront their own demons and their own fears and shames, they all have to go in and help Bob, help the Sentry,
Yeah,
because he's not really the villain here. He's being used by Val, but he's losing control and that's hurting people and that's affecting everyone. So I
yeah,
love how it's kind of resolved in a very compassionate, emotional way.
yeah,
I mean, it was kind of cheesy at the end when they go and give him a big group hug,
yeah,
basically. But I mean, I'm like, sometimes that is what you need.
yeah. It kind of shows that deep down there is good in them. They think they're bad people. My favorite line in the movie is when Yelena goes to Ghost and goes like, "You're not even a good person," and she goes like, "You bitch." But it shows like they can't beat this guy with violence because this guy outclasses them by too many leagues. And you and I kind of like had like a nerdy talk about this. I said like, other than maybe Doctor Strange, in my opinion, I don't think any of the Avengers so far could actually beat this guy one on one. I think.
Yeah,
You
I don't
said Thor
know.
might win, but
I think Thor could put up a great fight. That would be a very close call, but I think Thor could take him. I think the Hulk could under the right conditions.
I think it's the disappearing people that just is too powerful.
Yeah. I mean, that requires a great amount of will and strength to overcome your own demons as well. So that's a
Okay,
psychological battle at that point.
so if you overcome your demons, you just escape? Because I thought like you're stuck there unless you get Bob out too.
Well, I mean, at least what happened with the Thunderbolts was they all made their way to Bob when they
Yeah,
overcame their own.
yeah.
So that's got to be it. So they don't just escape, but then you also have to help Bob overcome his own demons and his void, literally.
Going back to the action for a second, I did think, not that the other movies had bad action. I thought this was just my favorite action sequences of Marvel lately. And in the beginning, I really love when they're all fighting each other. And Ghost is the only one to actually kill a dragon. All the different Thunderbolts are given another Thunderbolt to kill, Reservoir Dog style.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ghost is the only one who kills her target.
Yeah, Ghost kills Taskmaster. And this is my one
It's
complaint about this movie is they just
everyone's complaint about this movie.
yeah, I'm like okay, cuz first of all Taskmaster was a pretty big disappointment in the Black Widow movie. And then they include her again in this movie, and then 5 seconds later kill her off. Everyone kind of suspected that that was going to happen because of looking at promo images and trailers and stuff, being like, Taskmaster's not there. I think they're going to kill her. And they did. I
No.
mean, she's not the Taskmaster from the comics, which some people have a problem with if you're a fan of Taskmaster from the
But
comics.
she could
But
be. She could have been in through this movie, we could realize, but she didn't go that way.
yeah, I'm always open to new interpretations of characters, and the fact that there was no room to explore that further or
Yeah.
develop that character more, it just felt like kind of a waste to me. And at that
Especially
point, why even include her, you know?
especially because it's Olga Kurylenko, another actress, I'm sorry, with a really hard last name.
Kurilenko? Yeah.
Kurylenko. And she's also a big name and
Yeah.
she's a big action star. And also like I feel like a big thing with Taskmaster is with Black Widow. Her arc ends with her, for the first time in her life, she regains sovereignty over her body,
Hmm.
and she's free. And the first thing they do is they kill her.
Yeah, a little bit of a slap in the face, a little
Yeah,
bit of an insult to the character arc in
yeah,
the Black Widow movie.
yeah. It's also a shame because Ghost kills her, and the whole thing with Ghost in Ant-Man Wasp is that she also is learning to be a good person, and I don't know. She's also a lot nicer in that movie, but maybe she's just nice because Paul Rudd, and it's just such a nice person to be around. But
Yeah, and his kindness radiates and infects everyone around him.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, speaking of, we haven't even talked about Ghost very much.
it's funny. You talk about the actress a lot, but you talk about her in the most Miranda way. You're like, why does everyone love her? Like everyone's thirsting after her.
Well, it's crazy. When the promo material was coming out for this movie and trailers and posters, all anyone could do is I was on Reddit and everyone is just thirsting after the actor who plays Ghost. And I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, she's a beautiful woman, but man, like chill out, guys.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I mean, I will say this. Maybe it's because like every other, I'm a straight guy, and every Marvel movie so far has just been a massive Chris fest of shirtless men.
Yeah.
But
It
this
has been a lot of shirtless, like dehydrated, beefcake men. Yeah.
everyone thinks they're attractive. And then, like you see the videos of them working out and what they have to eat. I'm like, Jesus Christ, guys! Like,
It's miserable. Yeah. You want to have chicken, broccoli, and rice all steamed with no seasoning and
and
work out like 3 times a day, 7 days a week,
and
and then dehydrate yourself for 48 hours.
three cups a day of 3 cups of water a day, and you stretch it out. No, like actually, to be fair, I met some guys who are really into bodybuilding, and I'm like, yeah, it's all about the getting the carbs and the protein. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, that sounds miserable. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
food should be healthy, but at what cost, man? At what cost?
Yeah.
Have fun with your life.
Yeah,
Um,
seriously, enjoy it.
yeah, but I don't know. This is I think actually was the most female heavy Marvel movie. I think actually of all the Marvel movies ever, I think this is the most female heavy, female with the most female characters, female heroes. If you count Taskmaster, it's 50-50 male. It has a 50-50 male female ratio.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, we could still be going a little further because counting Taskmaster, who was killed off like 5 minutes in.
yeah. But Mel
Yeah.
and Val were really fun. It is a very female heavy, and it's good. And also, yeah, like the actresses were very, they were on the side of things.
The what side of things?
You know what I mean. Everyone was I could tell why people were thirsting after Ghost and the other characters in this movie.
Oh, so you're just trying to avoid explicitly saying that they're attractive.
I was flubbing my words because
You don't like to admit that about women when they're attractive?
not on air.
Oh, well, we can talk about it off air, I'm sure.
Now we could talk about it. I don't blame people for thirsting after Ghost. Also,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, fair enough. I mean, hey, she's a beautiful woman. I'm not going to stop you. But
I while we were rewriting the script and getting the actors' names and everything, I googled her. It turns out the actress is also like the daughter of a model, and I'm like, like it's sometimes unfair, like it's
yeah,
just a
it's the
line.
genetics lottery.
Yeah, it's a genetics lottery. Technically, Taskmaster is also played by a model, but
Yeah, no,
yeah,
definitely. I mean, there's so many beautiful women in this movie, and
yeah,
that's Hollywood for you, you know?
yeah,
Everyone's attractive.
yeah. Um, I did wish we saw more Taskmaster. I think I really like Taskmaster's costume in this. She had this really. I feel Marvel goes too. At this point, they're going all in on the collapsible helmet. I really like the
Yeah,
costume. It's the collapsible helmet's getting a little old, but like Ghost just shoots a bullet through it,
yeah.
and
I
then they
mean,
violate and loot her body. Which,
you got to suspend disbelief a little bit, I
yeah.
guess, for that. Maybe she had a round that could pierce that kind of material,
They
or that
talk
was that
about her
strong.
gun. They just go, it's a regular gun. All the Thunderbolts have like regular firearms. One thing I find interesting is that they all loot her body, which is like fire. They're pieces of shit. They're gonna take her body. Well, Yelena goes like, "Can't you guys respect her body?" But I'm like, yeah, that's kind of like the theme of this movie. They disrespected the character, and then they violate her dead body, and then it
Yeah,
gets burnt to a
it's pretty
crisp.
messed up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it gets burnt to a crisp afterwards.
I will say though, I think yeah, they just totally disregarded any care at all for this Taskmaster character. They're just like, fuck her, doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's a shame. Because she also had a connection with Yelena too.
Yeah, I think she had more of a connection if I'm remembering the movie right, Black Widow. I think she had more of a connection with Natasha, but
She has more of a connection with Natasha, but she has a connection to all Black Widows because like they all see her as the sister, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was pretty throwaway and it was kind of like, okay, this does not have the emotional weight or resonance
Mm-hmm.
like we thought it would, but I don't know. Rest of the movie's great, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's like the big thing where you're like, okay, this was totally unnecessary. You could have removed Taskmaster from this movie, and I think it wouldn't have really changed anything.
I also think it's like speaking from an action movie perspective. Like the one thing is that Taskmaster as an action character doesn't have much in this movie, unfortunately, because you go like, oh, what's John Walker's deal? Well, he has a gun and a shield. What's like other characters do? They're really good with pistols and hand to hand, and Taskmaster just like in the fight scene, the one fight scene where she and Walker just throwing their shields at each other over and over again.
Yeah,
Yeah, which unfortunately is like I could tell from Ash's perspective. You go like, oh, we don't need two guys with shields and guns doing the same move over and over again. Though she also has a bow and arrow, so
also, I feel like most of the team just does the same stuff, so they're all pretty redundant. So I don't feel like that would be a good excuse.
like that scene in the Suicide Squad movie where he goes like, "I thought you picked everyone for being unique. He does what I do."
Yeah, well, it's literally in this movie when they're all trying to get up that elevator shaft, and they're like, "Well, I guess we all just fight and shoot things. That's all. None of us can fly or anything." And that's
Well,
what's really fun about the only other power that we have is Ghost, who can phase through things.
and not even well. Like,
Yeah, she faces a lot of roadblocks in this movie. There's a lot of things that can pretty easily disable her phasing or make it so she's in great pain. So at least there's limitations there.
which is kind of crazy because in Ant-Man and Wasp, the big thing is that everyone's afraid of ghosts because she could just phase through people and kill them that way.
Yeah, but they definitely make it a lot more limited here. I
Yeah,
guess because of the nature of this team, which is more scrappy,
yeah,
rough and tumble, kind of like back to basics kind of approach to things, they don't
yeah,
have anyone who's super powerful. And I
yeah.
guess that's kind of the point, you know?
That's fair, but it's weird that in the character maybe it is Paul Rudd. He emanates nicest. She's nicer in Ant-Man Winter Soldier. They don't really
Ant-Man and the
care.
Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp. They
I
don't
would
cure
watch
her.
Ant-Man and Winter Soldier though.
They don't cure her, which was the whole point of that movie. And the third thing is that like throughout the movie, like everyone's afraid of ghosts. Like there's all these gangsters. Ghost just walks in the middle. They all freak out and run out of the room. They're trying to like chase Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ghost appears and they just go like, we only have to chase Ant-Man so we can get the machine first, so Ghost doesn't get it because it's hard to steal from her and we're afraid of her. Here, no one's afraid of Ghost.
No, yeah. I mean, she's still pretty tough and a good fighter and a good assassin. And I mean, the phasing does come in handy on several occasions. But yeah, I didn't. I think they just wanted to make sure she wasn't too OP in this context. You
Yeah,
know?
but like, isn't the whole thing is that she's scary? She was like, people are definitely afraid of her in Ant-Man and Wasp. And I'm like, shouldn't they be afraid of her here too?
Well, I mean, now she's in a context full of a bunch of other assassins and mercenaries, so it's not as terrifying. Ant-Man and the Wasp, it's just regular street level criminals,
They
and
were also
Ant-Man and the
mercenaries,
Wasp.
and they were all the mercenaries were afraid of her.
Yeah, but they're not. I don't think they were as high grade mercenaries like these ones. You have literal
Oh,
like Black Widows and
you pay
government
premium price.
agents.
You pay the premium price.
Yeah, that's right. They got assassins without ads.
And in Ant-Man and the Wasp, the assassins come with like better help. You gotta say the better help.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta advertise for those assassins. You gotta watch like 90 seconds of ads. But yeah,
uh,
I was moved by this story. I thought the action was great. I thought the character work was really good, and the ensemble cast all fits well together. It was so much fun seeing this team together,
yeah.
and I'm very excited. Do you want to talk, Josh, about the post credit scene as well?
Yes. So it was funny. So we actually watched the movie at the same-ish time. We found out completely by
Yeah,
coincidence on different coasts.
yeah, same day.
Right before I saw the movie, I sent it to Nabeel because I was in the movie. Right before I got in, I sent him a picture. There was a Fantastic Four poster right outside the movie theater, and I took a picture of the Fantastic Four, and I zoomed in on Johnny Storm, and said, "Wow, we're getting twin superheroes now."
Yeah,
And then at the end of the movie, there's a Fantastic Four ad.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, this was, I think a lot of people have said this might have been the longest post credits scene in the MCU
really.
because, well, it does take its time and it does a lot to, I think, well, first it establishes a little bit of time has passed and now these new Avengers have become very official. They've got some snazzy new outfits and a new headquarters and
We got cereal boxes.
yeah, the cereal boxes. Well, yeah, that was the mid-credit scene with Red Guardian getting his cereal and no one still recognizing him, which was very sad but
Yeah,
hilarious. But I think in the post-credit scene, it's so funny. You have, is it US Agent has the goofy little hat that he's got? Was it a beret that he's wearing?
yeah.
Like,
They got Val got her stylist team.
yeah, they all look very stylish and it's very funny how cleaned up they look. I think the credits scene too, just I mean before that, like just the credits made a good use of seeing the public reaction to these new Avengers, which has generally been pretty lukewarm and like
Not my
what the
Avengers.
fuck? Yeah, hashtag not my Avengers and like
It's also revealed Falcon is suing them.
yeah, in
Or
the well not Falcon in the post-credits
Captain
scene,
America.
Captain America Sam Wilson is filing for copyright for the Avengers name, and it's really funny because Bucky even tried to talk to Sam apparently off screen and that didn't go well, so
Yeah.
it seems like there's more division, almost like a new civil war on the horizon. Maybe not that far, but it definitely feels a lot like I remember growing up reading the Bendis era of Avengers, post Civil War. For a while there were so many different Avengers teams. There was not one like just Avengers team, like just straight up Avengers. There was the new Avengers, and then there was the Mighty Avengers, and then there was the Dark Avengers,
Hmm.
and everyone was going in different directions. This kind of feels like the direction it's heading. It's like I'm kind of speculating that if Sam Wilson is filing for copyright on the Avengers name, maybe he's going to be getting his own Avengers team together. I would be interested to see what the competition looks like.
Who'd be on this Avengers team? There's Sam Wilson, his Captain
Hmm.
America. Do you want spoilers for fucking Winter Soldier?
I mean, I've seen Falcon and Winter
Oh, you
Soldier.
have? I
Yeah.
thought that Brave New World.
Oh yeah, I don't mind.
Oh, okay. Well, there's another Falcon, and who else would be
Well,
on
I
it?
know that, yeah. I
There's,
mean, I think there's a lot of different MCU characters you can. I mean, can we bring She-Hulk into the fold?
okay, She-Hulk and
I
Hulk.
mean, I know there were a lot of people who didn't like that show. I enjoyed it, and I loved Tatiana Maslany as
I
She-Hulk.
I love Tatiana Maslany. I thought She-Hulk was not a good show with very good episodes, if that makes sense.
That's fair. I
Yeah,
see that.
I think if the writing was a little different, like, because I think, I think the fact they had good episodes means that it could have been better.
Yeah, I love the portrayal of She-Hulk in that show at the very least, and I think for the most part it got a little too much hate. It wasn't a perfect show,
Yeah,
but I think it got more hate than it deserved.
yeah.
And I loved She-Hulk in that show. So I hope if there was a Captain America Avengers team, she'd be on it. Maybe Shang-Chi. Can we get Shang-Chi in
Oh yeah,
there?
I forgot he was hanging out with them, and Wong is on there, I
Yeah,
guess.
get Wong in there. I mean, Ant-Man and the Wasp are right over there.
Oh, I forgot about Ant-Man and the Wasp, huh?
There's so many different characters you could take from. I know a lot of people are talking about too about how the Young Avengers seem to be forming.
I heard I haven't seen the Marvels. It was on my list, but I just never got around to watching it. I heard like they're like it was like there's a scene where Miss Marvel talks to Kate Bishop, and
That's right. Yeah.
my thing is like why are they young Avengers? Because other than Miss Marvel, they're all gonna be old. Kate
I
Bishop
mean,
is older than Haley Steinfeld is older than Scarlett Johansson was when she joined the MCU for one.
oh, that's surprising.
Yeah, I forget the exact stat, but she's either around the same age or she's older than ScarJo. So
Well, she's younger than Jeremy Renner, anyways, so she's the young Hawkeye.
yeah.
Well, there's also Cassie Lang, Ant Man's daughter.
Again,
There's
she's also
America
old.
Chavez, too.
Okay, other than America Chavez and Miss Marvel, they're all old. Cassie Lang and Haley Steinfeld are all like they're our age. They're not young.
They're younger than the current Avengers.
They're young as the Avengers when the Avengers started. I know that.
Everything's relative.
You don't need a young Avengers team if there's only half those guys could be the regular Avengers team.
They could, but how else would we get a young Avengers team?
No, we don't
People
need
have
a
been
young
dying for
Avengers team.
this.
Like,
Listen, I'm
let's.
not a diehard
I
Young
read.
Avengers fan, but
I
give the
read.
people what they want.
I read Young Avengers. You can't do the Young Avengers storyline because we did it already.
Oh, we also have Wiccan and Speed. I haven't seen Agatha all along, but I think they showed
Speed's
up in
not
that.
in. I don't think Speed shows up with Agatha. I heard Agatha's a really good show.
I heard it was really good too. I've been meaning to check it out.
Also heard it's not very connected to the MCU, which is fine. But the point is like, we can't do the Young Avengers storyline because we already did the Young Avengers storyline.
Not
Basically,
really.
we did the Scarlet Witch thing. We can't do another Scarlet Witch story.
Yeah, who knows if Elizabeth Olsen will be coming back.
She wants to come back, apparently.
That'd be cool. Get an actual redemption arc for her this time, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I really like them actually turning a superhero into a villain in the Doctor Strange movie. Oh yeah,
It just felt too abrupt and sudden for me.
I also like the fact that she could also probably beat the Sentry.
Yeah, I think she could, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, she could technically destroy the world, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Thor's also around, so maybe he could join Sam Wilson's Avengers team.
I think
if
he's
he can.
retired, especially because the actor I think is no longer going to make action movies. He said.
Well, Chris Hemsworth is confirmed going to be in
Oh, he
Doomsday,
is?
so
What?
yeah, that
Oh
was in the
wow!
whole trailer with like the list of chairs with actors' names on it.
I only saw the ones. I only saw the news that it's the X-Men actors.
Oh well,
Yeah.
it's a long list.
I know.
I went back and looked at it after this one because I was like, I'm hyped now.
Yeah.
I wasn't super hyped for Doomsday before, but I think the thing is too, because at the end of the post-credits scene for Thunderbolts, or New Avengers, I should say, then they see coming in from another universe, it looks like it's a ship with the Four on it.
Yeah.
From the Fantastic Four trailer played just before the movie, and it was the same ship from the trailer. And of course, it has the giant ass Four on it, so you're like, Fantastic Four. Yes.
So it's implied Fantastic Four takes place in another universe, doesn't it?
Yeah, another universe, and in the 60s, a period piece.
Yeah. And
So,
Silver Surfer has a belly button for some reason.
yeah, because why not? Someone's going to make some kind of Rule 34 art or whatever.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You nasty horn dog.
I'm just saying it's gonna happen, unfortunately. I don't want it to, but it will.
Okay, that's probably true. People like Julia Garner. Oh, I like
Yeah.
Julia Garner. She's a very talented actress.
Yeah, so I hope the Fantastic Four movie is good. I
Yeah.
think also because this movie has me so excited now for the future of the MCU for the first time in a while.
Yeah.
And I think if Fantastic Four is good, which I really hope it will be, first of all, just because I would love a good Fantastic Four movie for the
Yes.
first time for a change. I hope it's really good. That way we get a good. I think this could be like the 1-2 punch that we need leading into Doomsday and then Secret Wars. I think that will definitely be great setup and something. Hopefully that will be good for the MCU. Lay a good foundation for a very exciting big crossover movie like Doomsday that I'm hoping gets people excited for these movies again because I know I am.
Yeah. We talked a bit how the MCU was a bit aimless. I will be fair. I feel the MCU has been hit. Like, and I don't know how much they knew about it. A couple of their actors have like personal scandals, which I don't know if Marvel knew too much about it. But like, removing the actor does kind of have to force you to change things if you don't want to recast them.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that was the whole deal with Jonathan Majors as Kang, and he was gonna be the next big bad, but that's not happening anymore. So
Yeah.
then I personally, I hope I'm wrong, but it honestly felt like a scramble when I saw that they cast Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom because I'm like, okay, well they just got
Yes.
him because he's a safe bet. I feel like,
Yeah, which is a shame because I thought Mads Mikkelsen was supposed to be Doctor Doom. Apparently, he
well
thought
he
so.
well he already played Caecilius in
He played
Doctor
Caecilius.
Strange.
That was practice for Doctor Doom.
I mean, I'm sure
Like,
it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility that he could play both characters, because of course Robert Downey Jr. played Iron Man, and now he's playing Doom.
yeah, and a couple other actors have played two characters in the MCU actually,
Yeah, so that could definitely happen, but apparently not anymore because RDJ is taking the role of Doom.
which is a shame because tall Eastern European dictator Mads Mikkelsen. He already has a Eastern European accent. He's a great actor. He played a dark sorcerer before.
Yeah, I think Mads Mikkelsen would kill it as Doom.
Apparently, yeah,
You're right there.
he thought he would kill it
Mm.
as Doom. Apparently,
Yeah, I loved him in Casino Royale. I thought he made a great villain there.
I liked him in Hannibal. That was a great show.
You mean Hannibal?
Yes, that's what I said.
Say it again.
Hannibal.
Oh, okay, and this time you said it right.
I always say, why would I say it wrongly?
All right, well, we'll let the audience decide how you said it when I
See,
release this footage.
uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic now, I'd say, for Avengers Doomsday, especially if Fantastic Four is good, which I really hope it is. I'm cautiously optimistic for how this crossover is going to go and how the next big Avengers movie is going to be in the future of the MCU. Still not entirely on board with RDJ as Doom, but I hope I'm proven wrong. But yeah, any final thoughts, Josh?
I think I said enough.
Me too. If you guys want to write into us, let us know what you thought of this fun little break in format. If you want us to review more movies, if you want us to do some more stuff that's a little different like this, you can email us. Josh, what's our email?
UltimateComicsPodcast@gmail.com.
That's right. And if email's a little too old school for you, our Instagram is Ultimate Comics Podcast. You can comment on the photos we share. You can like our photos, our reels. You can just interact with us, engage with us on our polls and our stories. We'd love to hear from you guys. And we will be back next episode with our regularly scheduled programming. We'll be talking
Ultimate
about
Fantastic
Ultimate
Four,
Fantastic Four. That's
which
right.
we need to watch the movie.
We'll see. All right. Until next time, guys, take care. Make mine Ultimate Marvel. Bye bye.